Hello, everyone. Welcome to Everything Arsenal. We are back again with Cozy for another podcast. Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that there's a concrete possibility of Viktor Gyökeres joining Arsenal. And at the same time, news came out that Napoli are ready, or not actually ready. They've already taken their price down for Viktor Osimhen. So it could be a matter of which one do we really want? Because there's a big possibility that any of them could join Arsenal. And would one striker be enough, or would it be enough? Great for us to add a second striker. That could be Guirassy. Plettigol has also confirmed that Arsenal are in the race for Guirassy. We'll be covering all that and also the latest on a couple of other players, including Eze. But first, Cozy, how are you?
I'm okay. Hello to everyone watching. Thank you so much for following us on the Kosi and Glenn podcast, and we are very grateful. The Euros are, have been really, really entertaining for me. So I've been really, really well kept. I'm doing very fantastic.
Absolutely. There's a lot to get into today. Let's start
Yeah.
with the Viktor Gyökeres news. Now, there's a lot of questions to ask you and a lot of questions to ask the comment section. This was from Fabrizio. If Arsenal decide to buy a striker, which I think we will buy a striker, Viktor Gyökeres is a concrete possibility. Arsenal reached out to know the conditions of the deal a few months ago. Now, we did talk about Gyökeres over the last 2 weeks, and there's a time you said you would be patient, you'd wait for Sporting to take the price down. They haven't taken the price down yet. Personally, I feel like the price is going to remain the same unless we pay it in installments or something. That's the only compromise we can get. Now, have you changed your mind? Are you happy in terms of jumping on that price for Viktor Gyökeres?
Now, I think the most important part in that interview, in that debrief, is Fabrizio saying that Arsenal have worked on this deal for quite some time, especially in terms of getting the information and the conditions for the deal. It has been there for quite some time. It means that there is a huge possibility that Arsenal get a discount, or we get a favorable way to pay up that amount of money. I don't think that I don't think Arsenal should pay the 100 million. I still stand my ground. I think the 85 million pounds, 100 million euros, that is still a little bit exaggerated. It's like us going out there and saying Declan Rice at 300 million. You don't expect anyone to come and buy Declan Rice or Bukayo Saka for 300 million. But what you're doing there is you're trying to tell potential suitors that we are not really willing to sell at the moment. And if you come in for him, you're going to have to pay a heavy price. But if you're willing to sell, you will sit down, you will negotiate. So at the moment, I wouldn't say Arsenal should pay the 85 million, that 100 million euros release clause. That is still a little bit over exaggerated. For me, I think it comes down. I think it comes down. I think Sporting are looking at this as the opportune time to sell. 50 goal contributions. When is he going to have 50 goal contributions again? When did they last have a player that had 50 goal contributions? Just ask yourself. It's not even Gyökeres. Even in the whole of Europe, it's Cristiano, it's Ken, it's Lewandowski, it's Ronaldo, it's Messi. Those are the players that get 50 plus goal contributions. But to hear Gyökeres has 50 goal contributions, that is like a one season chance. They can't afford to blow it. So I mean, I wouldn't pay. I wouldn't pay the 100. I would still just kind of talk to them, play the waiting game. Eventually, I know that price comes down.
Do you reckon this deal has progressed behind the scenes without too many people knowing about it, or do you think the journalists are making too much of it?
I think there is a lot of work that has been done on it. I think it's a pure characteristic of Arsenal. You look at the Declan Rice deal. You don't remember really concrete talks coming out. Arsenal talking to Declan Rice to agree personal terms, but we just had one day. Personal terms are not a problem. I think that's what Arsenal do. They cut a lot of work before the transfers really start. And by the time we get into the transfer window, it's just a matter of what is important, which is talking to the club, understanding the conditions of the deal, and then start bidding, right? So I think there's a lot of work that has been done. I think Arsenal know beyond anyone else how much this deal is really going to cost, how much low Sporting are willing to bend, and what are the wage structures and the wages that the player want, and probably the kind of project and the kind of assurances. At this point in time, with Arsenal signing no one, and it's around 6 days to the end of the month or 5 days to the end of the month. I wouldn't really think that Arsenal are still talking to players about joining us and wages and things like that. I think that has been done. So with the Viktor Gyokeres deal, I think the small parts, which are very important, the small first steps have been done. It's about now us covering those important steps. So I think the media in Portugal have a little bit of leaks, and they have exaggerated them, and they made them big. Transfer fee agreed, person terms already agreed. Arsenal might have sounded out Gyökeres. Would you want to play for us? Yes, I would love to play for you. How much are you earning at the moment? Probably 80,000. We would love to give you 150,000 or 160, and maybe the players encourage say we want 200. And then they're like, okay, we know what you want. We'll see. Then they went to Sporting and talked to Sporting. Are you willing to bring that release clause down? Sporting said, we shall see. Depends on what the market has, right? If there's someone who's willing to pay the 100 million release clause, then that's the club that will take the player. If no one is coming in to trigger the release clause, then we shall listen to you. So for me, I think that is the kind of work that has been done. And Arsenal know it's one of those deals like the Thomas Partey deal. It can even happen on deadline day because you already have all the information. All you've got to do is, okay, he wants 200. Just send him a contract that says you're signing 200k per week for 5 years. Then go to Sporting and tell them you said you would accept 80 million. Okay, this is your money. These are our terms and conditions. Would you agree? Yes or no? And then you get the deal done. So I think the media don't have the full picture. Not Fabrizio, not David Onstein, not the Portuguese media. They have something they can call an update, but not the whole picture. I think behind the scenes, the deal is a little bit behind what Portuguese media are reporting, but also in front of what Fabrizio is reporting.
Now, I agree in the deadline day thing, but these days, the way we operate, I feel like we're not really going to sign players like that on deadline day. I feel if they're going to be a very important player, we are going to sign them in June or July, or if it doesn't happen, we change our plans and go for someone else. Now, there's people who've said, Gyökeres 1 season, I'm not really sure. Now, for me, even before we linked to Sesko, I was like, nah, those numbers, those are enough for me. Wherever you're doing it at, those numbers are enough for me. If you're able to get 58 goal contributions, that's incredible. And as we looked at this, it's not just 1 season. He's been scoring a bunch of goals. I wanted to bring this before we bring up Osimhen, because he also goes with Gyökeres. Last time I didn't ask you about this, because which of these stats is the most impressive for you? Is it the fact that the games he's playing 47 games, 50 games, or is it the fact that his numbers are improving every season? 5 goals, 18 goals, 22 goals, and then he racked up 43 goals last season? Or do you think the assists is what is more impressive? The fact he's able to get 11 assists, 12 assists. Which numbers there are really impressive for you? Most impressive for you? The games, the goals, the assists, the fact that he's improving every season, the fact that he's done that at Coventry and Sporting. Which one is the most for you?
The progressive picture is the most impressive one. The progressive picture, because we're talking about different locations, we're talking about different seasons, different conditions, different managers, different systems, different environments, different things. And at Sporting, guys, we are talking about a player who is culturally getting to learn Portugal, culturally going through changes from Sweden to Brighton to the Championship, now to Portugal. That's a lot of movement for such a player, right? For at also a young age. But it's the progressiveness of the numbers that is mind blowing, right? I mean, you could be scoring 50 goals a season, and then the next season you score 2, and then the other season you score 3, and then you go and hit 50 again. Marcus Rashford-esque kind of player. But with Viktor Gyokeres, what he's done here is, despite the fact that he's going through changes, movement here and there, differences, changes in managers, changes in coach, he's gone and produced more figures and more consistent figures over the last 3 years in terms of goals, in terms of assisting, and all these figures are in different clubs. All these figures are in different environments. If you're in the Championship, there is something different from Portugal. I was watching a Portuguese fan, Sporting Lisbon fan, was saying that in Portugal, strikers like Gyökeres have not really thrived a lot. Most of the strikers that thrive there are the likes of Seferovic, box nine, or at times a false nine. But when you look at him, spinning in behind and doing things like that, such strikers don't really, thrive in Portugal. You're either kind of an Erling Haaland, the Stefan Seferovic type, or you're really going to find it difficult. So for me, it's the progressiveness of the nature of the goals and the assists. It means that he's able to work with them, whichever circumstances are around, adapt to them, and still get you the goals and still get you the numbers.
Makes sense completely. Now, you spoke about the Portuguese outlets. Now, this was one of them. Jorge Mendes is acting as the intermediary to bring Viktor Gyökeres to Arsenal. The deal, according to sources, is close to being completed after negotiations advanced rapidly in the recent days. Now, let's take that that part in terms of advancing and maybe personal terms being agreed, and then bring Gyökeres into that. Now, do you feel like there's actually some truth in that in terms of Arsenal advancing quickly with Gyökeres, and that has made Napoli be like, okay, Arsenal is the only team that wants him. Let's bring our price down for Osimhen, because the latest on Osimhen is that Napoli are now lowering their demands for Viktor Osimhen from his initial release clause. Napoli would be willing to listen to offers around 85 million. So the 100 million euros from 120 million euros. Do you think it's a bit of fear from Napoli's side, hearing that Arsenal are advancing in terms of the Gyökeres deal, and they're like, oh, maybe if Arsenal get out of this deal, there's no one else who could really sign this player? And that brings us to decision. Which one should we be getting? Because it looks like both of them are very possible. It's not like 2-3 years ago you're looking at this place and like, nah, there's talk about Gyökeres being happy playing for Arsenal. We are not really competing with anyone for both of them. Not really. So, Real Madrid is not there, Bayern is not there. If those teams are there, it should have been different. So both of them at the moment, it's 85 million pounds if Napoli have taken the price down. So if it's not about money, which one did you take between the two? And also, do you think Napoli are trying a bit desperate and they're trying to pull the price down because they've had Arsenal advancing with Gyökeres?
I would say that Napoli would have more credible information than the journalists. I think the way football works is that these are institutions. So it's easy for the president of Napoli to give a call to the president of Sporting CP. I mean, they do business, don't they? So they'll have their own, they'll have their contacts, and they'll have inner men and inner sources. So I think they know. And if it's true that Arsenal are really pushing to sign Viktor Gyökeres, then Napoli are going to be pressured into reducing the price. The thing with the thing with Napoli at the moment is, if they have Viktor Osimhen on the market and players like Viktor Gyökeres on the market, that's okay. But if Viktor Osimhen is the only player remaining on the market and the most important candidate, the most I would say liable candidate to sign him in Arsenal have gone and put all their eggs in the Viktor Gyökeres basket, you have a problem there. Now, is the Gyökeres deal advanced as it's being reported? I would say no. But if it is true that Jorge Mendes is mediating that deal, it's gonna happen. That guy is a genius. And you'll ask Arsene Wenger, because Arsene Wenger had signed Cristiano and he thought he had got Ronaldo, and somehow he didn't get him. And it's the magic of Jorge Mendes. He can make things happen. He made the Fabio Vieira deal happen within no time. To Arsenal, and nobody knew about it. So if Jorge Mendes and he's behind that deal and he's mediating, I think that deal happens. I think Napoli should are just wasting their time. Now, in terms of 85, that's a very interesting question, because I think Mikel has got to answer one question. What does he really want in this season that is starting on the 17th of August? What is it really that he desires? Does he really desire to win the Premier League and have a real shot at the Champions League? Or does he really want to have a group of players that he can control, play entertaining football, and come second to real winners? Because real winners in Madrid are getting Kylian Mbappe. Real winners in Madrid are getting the best of the rest on the market. So for me, Viktor Gyökeres last season, phenomenal. Viktor Osimhen has also done what Gyökeres has done, not in terms of numbers, but going to do the unthinkable, winning the Scudetto for Napoli. This is like in Italian football, that is the best. That is the best you could do. If you win the Scudetto for a club that is not AC Milan, that a club that is not Juventus, for a club that is not Inter Milan, you've literally done the unthinkable, and that's why they've already said Maradona had done the unthinkable. So both of them quality talent at the moment. For me, I'm not gonna lie. When I look at the squad we have, it's better for you to bring in a player like Gyökeres at 25, 26. He's gonna come in there and provide you something with things that are very different. But then he's got a lot of parts to his game that resemble what Arsenal have at the moment. So he can fit in, he can slot in, he can come in and create as many chances as Kai has been creating. He can come and press the same way Kai Havertz presses. Again, I was watching his analysis, and one of the things that stood out, a workhorse. That is one of the words that people always say about him. He is a workhorse. He is a player that doesn't get tired. Bit of like an Alexis Sanchez. Arsenal could be trailing by a goal to nil, or it could be 1-1, and you think, we'll go with a draw. And then when that ball drops into the penalty area, someone is already onto it and is lashing it into the back of the net. That would be Alexis Sanchez. So that is Viktor Gyökeres. He would, he would remind me in this current Arsenal setup, Martin Odegaard. I've never seen Odegaard rest. It doesn't happen. When he's on the ball, he is scanning, he's thinking. When he's off the ball, he's scanning, he's thinking, he is pressing. So for me, for 85 million, again, I would go with Gyökeres because I know that price can come down. And I don't think Sporting are going to say give us much of the money up front. I think Napoli will say, we have given you a discount from 100 million euros to what? I don't know. A discount to 100 million euros. We want much of that money up front, right? They're going to use much of that money to buy players. But when you look at the contracts of players from Portugal, you can pay that amount of money across 3 years, across 4 years, across 5 years, as long as you agree on the terms and conditions. So for me, at the moment, Napoli, I think they're panicking a little bit. The one man that wants a striker is leaning towards Portugal. They might have to give us some real good incentives.
Let us know in the comment section you would prefer between these two. So a couple of quick fire questions as we always do. Which one do you think would be the quicker one to do? Like by the next 2-3 weeks between the two?
The quicker one, I mean, it's interesting here because when you have a release clause and you have a club that is interested, you never rule out the triggering of a release clause. You never rule that out, right? If Arsenal grow frustrated, they could trigger that release clause at 85 million. But I think it's the Gyökeres one that would be easier to do. Why? Because with Osimhen, anyone is running away because of the price. So if the price comes down, they will come back. Even Chelsea, they will come back. So I think with Viktor Gyökeres, because Arsenal have done a lot of groundwork behind there, it would be easier. I think we have our contacts already done. We have our contacts already set. It's about getting the plan and walking into action.
How are you in terms of who you want? Like both of them are very close, obviously.
Yeah.
Both of them can score goals, but in terms of playmaking and stuff, Gyökeres is definitely better. In terms of maybe more experience, I guess you can argue. Osimhen has played in France before. He's played in Germany before. He's played in Italy before. Played for Nigeria for a while now. How far are you in terms of 100%? For me, I feel like I'm 55% leaning towards Gyökeres, but 45% Osimhen. I don't mind him at all if he joins. Attitude is the only problem, maybe, but the rest of the things, I know he would score goals. I know he'd bully the other defenders and all that. How much is your percentage in terms of the two players? How are you leaning? Is it 50-50 down the middle, or are you leaning towards one?
If I'm not considering anything like Mikel Arteta's systems, this and that, you're just giving me two strikers that I've looked at. One for one season, the other for quite a few seasons. I'd go 60% Osimhen, 40% Gyökeres, and that 40% is because of the price and also the season he had last season. But if I mean, if it's for Mikel, then you've got to go 55% Gyökeres, because he's got a lot more to offer. But if you just asking me about two strikers, I'm going with Osimhen. I know he scores boring goals, but we need a boring scorer.
Okay, now if you spend 85 million on one of those players, could we need a second strike on top of that, especially if Jesus and Ketia both leave? Now, when you spend money, and you can't buy both of them, obviously, that is impossible. When you buy one like that, you might have to spend lower on the next player. And Guirassy has become available. According to reports from Sky Germany, that's Plattenberg, breaking, Guirassy has decided to leave Stuttgart. Guirassy has informed Stuttgart as informed Stuttgart. Dortmund, AC Milan, and Arsenal are in the race. Chelsea are out. So the team people are always worried about Chelsea this, Chelsea that. They are out. Now, I'm pretty sure Stuttgart finished second last season. So Leverkusen won the league. Stuttgart finished second. Kane won the Golden Boot over there with 36 goals. And guess who finished second? Guirassy with an incredible 28 goals. That's crazy. Like getting 28 goals in the league, that's absolutely crazy. And he was breaking a lot of records that we'll go through in terms of that. But let's first talk about Guirassy as a player, and if you'd want him at Arsenal. Now, there's no team that has gotten him yet, but he's been, talked about last couple of months, and everyone's like, okay, cheap release clause, should we get him? Why do you think no one has gotten him yet? And do you think he's a player you'd be interested in as a backup or maybe even as a main striker?
When I see Chelsea run away from an 18 million deal, I'm like, why? Why are we like they're so good at snapping up everything? This is the easiest deal on the market, just pay 18 million. Agree personal terms. Of course, they could do that. I'm like, why are they really doing that? But anyway, for me, Serhou Guirassy is the new Christian Benteke. The best strategy for him to help Arsenal is to stay away from our club. As simple as that. If he can do that for me, it's 100%. 100%. I'm 100% okay with him. I think we get very excited as football fans. And in January, as one of those football fans that were very excited, but I was also frustrated. I want to remind people that in December, before we went to the January transfer window, Arsenal had created 1 million chances in the game that led to Dubai against Liverpool, and we lost that game with 2 finishes from Liverpool, and we had created chance after chance. Before that, Arsenal had lost to Fulham. We created chances as well. It could have ended 2-2 or 3-2. We had lost to West Ham. We had lost to Aston Villa. We had drawn 1-1 in the Premier League with Liverpool. So when I put all that frustration, I say these words: bring me any striker that comes. Solanke, Guirassy, I don't care. We just need a striker. But right now, I want the best. I need quality. Serhou Guirassy, 28 years of age. You've banged in some goals, 28 goals in one season. Well done. Renew your contract with Stuttgart. You are the hero at Stuttgart. If you want an upgrade, Borussia Dortmund is very open. And if you want to play for a legendary club, definitely AC Milan. That is the level he's got to be at. That is the level he's going to play for, or he's got to play for. And all these clubs I'm talking about are fallen giants. AC Milan is a fallen giant. BVB, I don't think they are the BVB of Jurgen Klopp and 97. They're not that club anymore. Why has no one scooped him up? This is a very good question. Like when Yuri Tillemans had a very poor season, he became free, and all the clubs that were interested in him, a year before just went silent. Arsenal went silent, Liverpool went silent, Chelsea all of a sudden went silent, and even Man United, who were thinking, if Arsenal really want to sign him, we would sign him, went silent too. So for me, it's the same with Serhou Guirassy. I think clubs will be very skeptical. Not only the big clubs, by the way, even the Crystal Palaces of this world, even the Brightons of this world. At 28, he's a big risk. Like big risk. He's not had very progressive seasons, like scoring 20, and then he banged in 28. Like he's come out of nowhere. This guy has come from Mars with gifts of goal scoring. What if they run out? What if he runs out of energy? What do we do? You can refill him
Mhm.
from Mars. That takes like billions of money to fly there. So for me, no.
Yeah.
Serhou Guirassy definitely no.
Yeah.
Dortmund, take your rest. AC Milan, rival Dortmund. Give us a call when that's over. We will meet in the UEFA Champions League.
So if we try to convince you and tell you last season he scored 28 goals in 28
Yep.
games, within the first 5 matches of the Bundesliga season, he already had 10 goals,
Yeah.
including a hat trick, and that matched Lewandowski's record in terms of quickest to 10 goals. Right after that, he scored another hat trick that made him basically set a record for most goals by a player in the first 7 matches, basically beating Lewandowski again. Now he was breaking a lot of records in the first part of the season, and people were like, "Oh my goodness, this player should join us in January," and he's absolutely incredible. What if they're telling you, because a backup? We've already signed Osimhen. Jesus has left, let's say. But now we also get is going to leave. We're going to bring Guirassy as his replacement. Would you also not be convinced with that? Would you rather find a way to keep Jesus instead and keeping with Osimhen instead of selling both Jesus and Osimhen and Jesus and bring Osimhen and Guirassy?
I think with the backup player, you've got to look at resale value. And I think that's one thing that Man City have done very, very well. Like Julian Alvarez could be moving out for 80 million. That is insane. Gabriel Jesus, profit. Zichenko, profit. And all these other players they've been selling, they've been selling at a profit. So Serhou Guirassy is a player. We've got to agree. If you get him for 18 million, next season, someone is going to offer you 9 or 8 million euros, not pounds. 8 million euros. And if you don't sell, someone's going to offer you like 5 million euros the next year. So his resale value is ridiculous. And he is a player, like the way I know Mikel, he is the player that would come in and play like 5 games, a whole season. And I'm talking about FA, Carabao, Champions League, Premier League. He's a player that will score 5 games, play 5 games. You remember Edin Ketia? There's someone called Edin Ketia at Arsenal who scored a hat trick and disappeared. That is Mikel Arteta. If you don't please him in training, if you don't give him what he needs in training, people will never see you. Will just disappear within thin air. So for me, Serhou Guirassy, no. I'm gonna say this for Serhou Guirassy. I would keep a younger Edin Ketia who is English, and at least there is a resale reason there. Oh, clubs need an English player, so I would have Edin Ketia. I would keep him. I would keep Gabriel Jesus, obviously, because he could be this kind of player that comes in one game and scores that goal, maybe against Bayern and scores that one goal, right? But I don't think Arsenal should spend a whole summer looking for a player that's going to score one goal against maybe Reading in the Carabao Cup or Panathinaikos in the Champions League. No. So for me, no way. Backup on backup. If you let go of Balogun, you don't give me Serhou Guirassy. Honestly, it means that you're looking to do better.
So Cos is not keen on that as a main striker, for sure not. Like for me, I'm looking at the next level, and I don't think Guirassy is the guy to take us to the next level. He had a very good season. He showed us that he can score goals. As a backup, I don't mind it because of that price, but I don't really see him joining like a Man City or teams like that. I can only see him like at a West Ham, maybe a replacement for Duran at Aston Villa, teams like that. So it makes sense.
Even Tottenham don't want him. Tottenham need a striker, by the way. They don't even want him.
I think wherever it goes, he still scores goals, maybe 15 or something, depending on where it goes. But I don't think this one like to take your time, the time on in terms of you're focusing on that. But if it becomes available, okay, let me ask you this: so if we are completely shattered at completely, and you don't have any strikers, Osimhen and Gyökeres have not worked out, there's no strikers at all, and you've gotten into August, and we're stranded, and Guirassy is still available, would you be like, let's get in?
No. No.
Wow.
Keep the players we have. Keep the players. Instead of Guirassy, I would go and knock on the door for Niklas Füllkrug at Dortmund, because when I look at Füllkrug, different profile, like really different profile, beast of a traditional number 9. He's supplemented the goals very well for Germany, and Kai Havertz, because again, Kai is doing something different, and Füllkrug is coming in to be clutch and score goals. So Füllkrug, yes. Guirassy, no, please. Thank you. No.
Now, let's talk about Nico Williams and Eze. Now, both of them have been linked to Arsenal, but which one can we get and which one would you guys prefer getting if both of them were available and we had to make a choice? Now, different roles, but Eze can also play as a winger. But let's start with Nico Williams news, and this is the latest on him. Sources with a close understanding of Nico Williams' situation have informed Court Offset that there is a long list of suitors pursuing the player this summer, though Arsenal and Chelsea are the ones advancing for the moment, with Arsenal ready to pay his 58 million euro release clause. So, according to reports, because the Arsenal and Chelsea are the ones advancing on the Nico Williams deal. Chelsea want him, but I've heard Chelsea fans saying this is not realistic for them. They're not going to pay the wages, they're not going to pay that fee. Why would Nico Williams want to move to them in terms of Conference League? So if it's up to us, between us and Chelsea, and not really the Barcelonas of this world, would you be confident in getting this deal done and you're not worried about Chelsea at all? You'd be like, okay, it's only us in Chelsea. Let's do it quickly before anyone else comes in. This is a very possible one. Or would you be like, nah, this is too easy? There's obviously a couple of teams that would come in for him as well.
Now, if it's between us and Chelsea, I would be very confident because he's signed a new deal a couple of in December, and that deal raised him to 200,000. That 200,000 is the same amount of money that Chelsea told Michael Olise, we are not giving you that. We are not paying 220,000 for you in your bank account every single weekend. So that puts Chelsea out. So we are definitely in front. And also, I look at Chelsea. There was a time when Chelsea were attractive. I'm talking about times when they signed Eden Hazard over Arsene Wenger's head. They signed Oscar. They signed, a couple of interesting players there. Juan Mata. They could snatch players of Man United, of Arsenal, of a couple of other clubs. And many people said because they had Roman Abramovich, but also they were attractive. They were on the rise. They were winning title. Go and check when Chelsea became successful. It was between 2005, and that period where they literally signed the superstars or the young superstars that were coming up. So for me, at the moment, Chelsea are unattractive. They are that woman that thinks, I'm still beautiful, I'm still young. Yet you're not still beautiful. You're not, or you're not young. You're old, and your wrinkles are showing, and you need a bit of makeup. So what Arsenal have done here is we've gone and realized that we are no longer young, fresh. We have patched up ourselves, and we look nice. So I think Nico Williams, in terms of project, because that should be his priority, right? I don't think such a player at this age is going to be thinking about who can give me 300,000 less than a year later after I started earning 200,000 a week. No, I don't think so. And I actually think if he moves to a club like Arsenal or Chelsea, he would still keep his wages at 200. They might not increase exponentially. He might keep his wages at around 200, and then maybe within the next 3 years, he develops and he starts earning the 300s of this world. So for me, Chelsea massively behind Arsenal. If I say Arsenal have 60% a chance to sign him, Chelsea outrate them at 30%. Now they're good with youngsters. They're good with just triggering release clauses and doing deals, but we have already seen they have a financial problem, and it's not that they don't have the money. They spent a lot of money somewhere to an extent that now they have to spend while looking over the shoulder. So this is a deal that looks very good for them, but I don't see them rivaling Arsenal. I don't see them beating us to such a deal. Am I afraid we might see another club? It's too easy. Yes, it's too easy. You have these Merseyside Lumpens that have not signed anyone, so they're there just looking around, lying to us that they are, still welcoming Ancelot. No, you're not. You're actually studying the market as well, because it's a very difficult market. You're looking at Arsenal moves, you're looking at Man United moves, you're looking at Chelsea moves. You're looking at what is everyone doing in order for you to go and start popping up your business. So I think it's too easy, Glenn. It's too easy. 48 million pounds, 58 million euros. How, today, Kudus, we know that his release clause is active. You know how much it is? 85 million. 85 million. So if Kudus is 85 million, Pedro Neto's price has been set at 60 million pounds, not euros. this is crazy. Like Nico Williams deal is a crazy one. So I think we'll have a couple of suitors there. I'm surprised that Bayern didn't think about him before thinking about Michael Olise. Probably it was a Vicente Company thing. He wants him personally, but I think we'll see 2-3 clubs ready to trigger the release clause, and may the best team win.
So we are definitely ahead of Chelsea in terms of that. We have a settled project. Chelsea have a new manager. So in terms of that, we are leading a lot of teams. I can just tell them, listen, we don't know what to expect from Maresca and Chelsea over here. You're going to play here. Saka is going to play here. Odegaard is going to play here. You're going to get a lot of opportunities at Arsenal. And on top of that, we can give you that 200K. And on top of that, we can offer you Champions League football, something that Bilbao can't and something that Chelsea can't. Arsenal can offer you that. Come here and we're going to give you everything, every single benefit. Now, the only worry, as we discussed the other day, is we could tell them, okay, what if he asks, well, you have Martinelli though, you have Trossard, you have Saka. Am I really going to play? What's my role here? I don't want to really be a bench player and rotate, Chelsea are telling me I'm going to take over the left side, or Liverpool are telling me I'm going to take over the left side. Okay, let's actually forget Liverpool for now, because probably that would be a bigger competition, but they're saying it's only just us and Chelsea advancing. Or if you tell him, listen, Chelsea, you're going to play every single day, how would you try to convince him in terms of that?
Now, listen, for footballers, I think now they notice this. Squads are becoming bigger. That's the first and foremost. But also, you've got to have the right mentality, I think, to play for a club like Arsenal. I think if you are a player that cannot fight, can't stand to fight competition of Trossard, who is approaching 30 or already in his 30s, and a Gabriel Martinelli, who's your age mate, your mentality is not right for Arsenal. With Michael Olise going to Bayern, like Bayern have Musiala, Gnabry, and Sane. And Sane and Coman, by the way. So if he's gone to that competition, if he's gone to that level of competition, that is the right mentality. So I think Williams at the moment, what you're telling him is, we are working on the next biggest project. We want to be part of that, of the biggest project in Europe, like the Starlings were part of the biggest project, at Man City, like Vinicius is part of the Madrid project, and Rodrigo. Just imagine Rodrigo has told Madrid, I'm going nowhere. Like, I have a place here, and I'll fight for it. So for me, it's about just approaching his mentality, just giving him the guarantee that you're not going to be on the sidelines. We don't have favorites. You are meriting the performance, the signature to Arsenal, and you will merit you starting in the squad with your performances. It's as simple as that. Look at Emil Smith-Rowe, one of the best players at Arsenal 3 years ago. 2 years later, has not kicked a ball at Arsenal, and Arsenal have scored more goals in those years. They have defended better, they have controlled more games, and they have come closer to winning the Premier League twice, back in the Champions League quarterfinals of the Champions League. And you're like, okay, how did I miss all this if you're Emil Smith-Rowe? So for me, you give him assurances, obviously, that Saka is not going to be playing as many minutes as he's been playing, with injuries, without an option. You will be that option. You will always give us that different option. If we need a tactical change, if we need to do this and this is how we visualize you in the squad. But most importantly, you've got to appeal to his mentality. You're a young guy. You're coming here to build a dynasty, and you're not building a dynasty without competition.
Absolutely. Now, let's say Barcelona end up scooping him, and that's the chicken part of the menu gone. You've reached the buffet, the chicken is over, but there's still some hamburgers and stuff. And you're like, oh, I don't mind hamburgers. I love both chicken and hamburgers. And the chicken has already gone, but the hamburger is still available. Let's talk about Eze. I don't know how good of an analogy that is, or how crazy it is. Everyone at Arsenal love Eberechi Eze, and they view him as someone who can play left wing or left central midfield. However, as Palace want £50 million of the 60 million clause paid up front, it remains to be seen whether Arsenal will pursue him at that price. So, first of all, would you be happy with Eze as an alternative for Nico Williams, or would you actually go for Eze first because he can play both of those positions? Would you prefer a left central midfielder who can play as a left winger, or would you prefer a left winger who can also play as a right winger?
Williams all day, first and foremost. I wouldn't go for Eberechi Eze first. I would go for Williams. I think I prefer a player who has kind of specialized and you know what to expect out of him in a certain position. And also, of course, Eze, you know what to expect out of Eze, but Odegaard plays a lot of minutes and so durable and so reliable and so important that we might bring in Eze and he just doesn't play. But also, I have another reason why I would slow down on the Eze deal. So for me, if we were to sign one of them, Williams or Eze, just go for Williams. Just try to get Williams as quickly and as hard as you can. Now, Eberechi Eze is an interesting profile. Very, very exciting player. Already at the England, national team with for the Euros. That is already insane. When I think about Eze, and I did ask myself this question, don't we have Emil Smith Rowe? Don't we have a player like that? Are they very similar? They are. Do they have their differences? They do, right? But don't we have a player like Emil Smith Rowe? Why would I want to spend 60 million on Eberechi Eze and sell Emil Smith Rowe for 45 million? Because that's what we're going to get right now. That is pretty much bad business. That is not good business at the moment for me. So, and I'm a big fan of Emil Smith Rowe, and I think he needs to go out there and find some game time. But if you're willing to bring in a player like Eze, give him game time. Give that game time to ESR. Again, Mikel has got to check himself and look into himself. There are times when these players just lack game time. There are times when they just don't play. You're not trying to give them minutes. Now, Eze's versatility is something I really like. Can play on the left wing? Yes, he can. Can play left central midfield? Yes, he can. And he can also play in that number 10 with a player like Martin Odegaard not in the team. Yes, he can, right? But 50 million out of 60, up front in these PSR and FFP days, come on. Like, are you kidding me? This is a strategy, for them not to sell at the moment. I wouldn't really even advise Arsenal to look into the direction. Like, that's a crazy deal, really. For a player who's not coming straight away to start for us, like, he doesn't displace Odegaard right away. I don't think he displaces Declan Rice right away and doesn't sit at the base of the midfield. Maybe we could make some adjustments. Declan sits at the base and then Eze comes there. But I don't see him disrupting Partey, Odegaard, and Rice. I don't see him, destabilizing that. So at the moment, I would really go slow on that deal. Finally, I'm going to sound like I don't know, James McLean, who said that Rice is overrated. I think there is an added layer of quality to Eberechi Eze that is not yet unlocked in his game. And I want to make it very clear. He can reach the levels that everyone says he is at. He's not yet there yet. He's not there yet, right? So he's not the level of Declan Rice, please. He's not the level of Odegaard yet. He's not your, I don't think it's at that level. Moises Caicedo, when he signed for Chelsea, McAllister, he's not yet at that level. And when people talk about him, they talk about him as a player who has done it all. He's a prospect that is mind-blowing, like insane. But we have seen these prospects at times dwindle and go off. Jack Rodwell, one of the best prospects we've seen in English football. Rossi Barkley, one of the best prospects. Daniel Drinkwater, someone remember him, but somehow they disappear, right? And there's also someone called Fabian Delph. Again, one of the players that I still remember even at the time. So for me, Eze, I would give him like 2 seasons at Crystal Palace, and we see.
Now, for Eze, for me, I feel like the number 8 position is a position that, we really need someone who can attack and also defend. Now,
Yeah.
Eze will definitely bring more goals. He'll bring more assists into the team. Last season, he had his best goal return since he joined Crystal Palace. He's been at Crystal Palace for 4 seasons. Last season, he got double figures in terms of goals, and he was pretty much unlocked after the new coach came in. So maybe if it was not Roy Hodgson since the beginning of the season, that could have been 15 or 16. He's very good at set pieces. He's very good at corners. He's very good at free kicks. His numbers before that, I think, was 10 goals and now 11 goals.
Yeah.
He only really had a muscle injury this and that kept him out for 6 games, and then the last injury he had was around like 2021, I think, an Achilles injury or something, and he missed a lot of games. But apart from that, he's always available. He's Premier League experienced. I think if you made him available, you'd hear Tottenham want him, maybe a Liverpool want him, an Arsenal want him. Now, if they say Nico Williams, listen, Nico Williams wants 250,000 a week, but as they're settling for half of that, 125,000 a week, would that come to your mind, or do you actually think Nico Williams is worth that double wage more than Eze?
At the moment, Nico Williams is still worth that double wage for me. I still think that this Arsenal midfield, just looked at Jorginho for Italy, and I'm like, you've got 2 seasons there, bro. You've got 2 seasons, not at Arsenal, but at least one at Arsenal, one somewhere else. There is that part of me that keeps on always hoping that Thomas Partey will be okay. Again, it's knocking on my door, but even if he's not okay, I think there is a Jorginho there. I think Arsenal will get a number 6, this summer. So I think for me at the moment, like I told you at the beginning of this transfer window, I would spend 100 million on a left winger. I would massively upgrade that left wing. And it's kind of sad that we don't have these, mind-blowing Kylian Mbappe upgrades on the left wing. But if it was there, if we could do it, if we could go and just blow the market, like I don't know who was the last like if there was a player like Alexis Sanchez right now, I would go and invest like 70, 80, 90 million in Alexis Sanchez.
He was an incredible player, man.
Incredible player. If you get like a Salah right now, a Mane right now, and place him on that left-hand side, of the Arsenal attack, we are talking different goals. We are talking about difference in terms of attack, in terms of quality up front, in terms of options. So for me, again, Williams at the moment, we are talking about an opportunity that we shall revisit next summer, and it has doubled. Listen, it will have doubled. It's one of those few deals that you try to do, and then you're like, we'll come back. Remember when we tried to sign Isak in January 2021?
Yeah.
Newcastle signed him. Now they're asking for 200 million. We should have got him then. The same happened with I think it was it Pino? I think it was Jeremy Pino. Arsenal had a chance to trigger his release clause. By the time we went back, the Villarreal player. By the time we went back, Villarreal had already agreed a new deal with them, and everything was different. And then Bruno Guimaraes had a chance to sign him at Lyon. Waited a little bit, said no, let him go to Newcastle. We wanted him. He's 100 million. So for me, at the moment, Williams, if you can get that deal done, waste no time.
Okay, now let me give you a hard one. You have to pick two. First option or option B. First option, Osimhen and Eze. Or option B, Nico Williams and Gyökeres.
Osimhen and
see
Eze.
what I did there? Huh? I mixed a couple of your options in different groups. I want to see who's your real priority.
Osimhen and Eze.
Yeah, a striker and the striker. Yeah,
Williams and Viktor Gyokeres. Interesting that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's very interesting because with Osimhen, there is that we have signed Osimhen element. Arsenal signed Osimhen. It's a bit of Arsenal have signed Declan Rice and then Kai Havertz. It's got that element. With Gyökeres, I would say it's like when we signed with Gyökeres and Williams. It's like when we signed Gabriel Jesus and Alexander Zinchenko. Like exciting, but not to the level of Declan Rice and Julian Timber. And so I would say for this one, I would go with the Osimhen combo. Because I think Osimhen he will come good. Like he will really, 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 really come good for us. For any team that he signs for, he would come good. He's going to score those goals that and unlock players like Odegaard. I want to see Odegaard with a real striker, like not with a guy that walks and moves like Kai, but a player that makes those runs off the shoulders. I want to see how many assists he would get in a season. Like, could he unlock those Kevin De Bruyne numbers? Now, why I wouldn't go for the Gyökeres one and the Williams
Williams.
one? Yeah, Williams one. I like Williams. I think it's really really an opportunity, but the striker market is bogus, and I don't expect it to come
Mm,
good. I don't
I
expect it to
understand.
come
Yeah.
good. Like if you steal Osimhen right now, you've won the striker market. Next 5 years, I don't see, like, even at the Euros, the talents we have seen, Adagula, Jude Bellingham, Musiala, you can name them. They're not strikers. Which young number 9 have you said, whoa, we've got a very good young number 9 here? Even has Cisco scored a goal at the Euros? No, right? So I don't think that the striker market is going to get better. So I would steal my Osimhen. I know there will be a right winger. I know there will be a time when that Kudus price comes down. I know there will be a time when Arsenal could get a winger. Wingers are there on the market. We've seen a couple of them on in the Euros, even outside the Euros.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. So let us know if you're given those two options, which one you guys would go for. If you're watching this as a video for Eze and Nico Williams, make sure to check out the full podcast we've done because we've discussed Guirassy, we discussed Osimhen, we discussed who else did you cast? Gyökeres, Osimhen. Yeah, we're linked to those, and you're not being linked to a lot of players. There's some people complaining about being linked to a lot of players. No, it's the same 5-6 names. But if you're watching the full podcast, thank you for watching up until the end. We really appreciate it. Click on the link in the title to go and check out Koz's channel. Check out the live stream we did last night to discuss the likes of Gyökeres in that video as well. Thank you for watching. Catch up with us tomorrow.